So, last night, Trump bombed Syria. I, you know, we've all seen the build up to this. If you pay attention, if you watch the media, obviously this seemed like it was coming. I gotta say, though, let me explain my thoughts on this. And let me go back to the night of the election of Trump and the build up to that. If you watch the media, the mainstream media, if you watched CNN and all the main standard legacy style media, then it was, we shouldn't even be here, because Hillary should be president at this point. Because, I mean, that was just a foregone conclusion. Hillary was going to win. But yet Trump won. And the thing about that is this. We live in a strange time because, and it's a good time in a way, because the internet has now allowed citizens, individuals, to bypass the media and get information to each other. And one of the things during that election season I noticed was that that internet alternative media was saying something completely opposite to what the mainstream legacy media was saying. And what happened was the alternative media was correct and the standard legacy mainstream media was wrong. Fast forward to this situation here. What is the mainstream media saying? The mainstream media is saying that Bashar al-Assad used chemical weapons yet again on innocent civilians and something must be done about it. Now, just because they were wrong about the election of Trump doesn't mean they're wrong about this. But I want to explain why I believe they are wrong. I don't know anything more than anybody else does about any of this stuff. But the one thing I do think I understand is human nature. And I understand that the United States has this giant military. So if I put myself in Bashar Assad's position, the very last thing in the world I would do is use chemical weapons if I didn't have to. And I'm trying to put myself in this mindset of this gangster warlord type person, which he probably is. I'm not claiming Bashar Assad's a decent guy. I'm not. But what I'm saying is this. He was winning that war. It doesn't make any sense for Assad to do that. The only evidence I've ever heard that says that gives people, first of all, people are running around just making the claim. They are not giving, almost nobody is actually explaining how they know Assad did this. Chemical weapons went off and Assad did it. That's all they say. There was one guy I heard who explained the reason why they know is because Assad, we know which helicopters took off and we know that he used missiles. I'm not even going to deny that's true. Let's assume that's true. Let's assume Assad bombed people with missiles from helicopters, or bombs from helicopters, whatever they were, and then chemicals are everywhere, and it's killing and hurting civilians. Let's assume that's what happened. Here's something that's just as likely that could have taken place. He could have hit a chemical storage for the rebels. This idea that Assad's the only one that has chemical weapons, people need to wake up and understand something about these rebels. These friggin' rebels are the same rebels that spun ISIS out. ISIS developed out of the rebels. This is what's crazy to me. I'm not saying Assad's a good guy. We're on the side of ISIS at this point. It's completely possible that ISIS says, hey, we can use the U.S. military. You think ISIS cares about these innocent people? Let's get Assad to attack us, and we'll wait for an opportunity when we can just release the weapons. He'll take the blame. The U.S. will come in. That's more likely. It's more likely because it benefits the rebels. It doesn't benefit Assad to do this. So why would he do it? I'm not saying he didn't do it. I don't know. But how is everybody so confident? And to the point that we would just... what does that have to do with us anyway? I really don't understand this. I really don't understand why the United States continues to have to be everybody's bouncer. We're like the global bouncer. Assad needs to go. Take him out for us, U.S. Uncle Sam. Get rid of him for us. I don't get this. And it seems strange if you've watched the paid attention over the last decade or so, what's happened in the Middle East. If you go back further than that to Saddam, let me just throw out something that is strange. Now, I was for the war in Iraq, and for some time now, I thought that was I was on the wrong side of that. As bad as I knew Saddam to be, the one thing I did understand was that people basically, as far as religious tensions were concerned, there weren't that many. Christians lived in Iraq just fine. And then after the Arab Spring, some things started to happen. And if you noticed, what happened was the United States tended to go after the more secular Muslim leaders. Mubarak in Egypt, Gaddafi in Libya. What does it say to bad guys that when you cooperate with the United States, you're more likely to then have them come after you? That's what we did with Gaddafi. That's what Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama did. They took a moderate Muslim leader who cooperated and then actively sought to take him out. Libya is a hellhole now. There are literally slave markets in Libya now. Nobody's talking about this. We're taking these moderate leaders, we're removing them from power, or helping to remove them from power, creating a vacuum in which radical Muslims are then taking power. And Christians, the few Christians that exist in the Middle East, are taking the brunt of this. It's the same with Syria. I'm not saying Assad's a good guy, but Christians live in relative peace, or did, under Assad's regime. It doesn't make any sense, is what I'm saying. And I don't even know why let's take Assad, and he's a bad guy. Okay, I'm fine with that. He's probably a gangster. He probably kills people for a living to keep his power. He probably does that. He's a bad guy, and we should be against him. Fine. I don't care. How we should be against him is the question. And who he's fighting needs to be taken into consideration. Again, look this up if you're not aware of this. The rebels that started fighting Assad Part of them became ISIS. This is a fact. Go look it up. You'll see this is true. So pick your poison. Or better yet, don't pick your poison. When two bad factions are fighting each other, let them fight. What does that have to do with us? They show pictures of children. I mean, if we want to get into the humanitarian aspects of this, that would be fantastic. Let's do that. But why do we want to get into the bombing and the killing? So everybody's running around saying, look how terrible this is. He's bombing and killing people. And our answer is, let's join in and bomb and kill people. It's frustrating. Look, I don't know anything any more than anybody else does. And, I've always just dismissed this whole thing about, when people start talking about a military-industrial complex and all this stuff. I just never, no, it's just, you just got people there. You need to have defenses, and we're the best. We got to have it, and people are evil. That's what I've always said. But when I watched this whole Syria situation take place, when the United States is doing something that's not in its best interest, it's not in the best interest for anybody, as far as I can tell, except for the people who might be interested in starting a war. That's the only people that could gain from something like this. I don't know what to think about this stuff, but and as far as the political aspect of it, when you have, Trump, one of the things I like about Trump is that he's an outsider, and I could tell, having watched politics for a long time, I didn't like Trump at first. Anybody who knows me knows I was never a never-Trumper, but he was one of the last of the 17 Republicans that I wanted. But he grew on me, and the reason he grew on me was because I could tell the Democrats hated him, which I thought was false. I thought they really didn't hate him. I thought that was a whole thing, that he was more like a Democrat and they were just trying to play him. Trying to make it seem like they hated him, but they really wanted him there. Then I realized, oh no, they really hate him, which made me like him. And I'd already noticed that the Republican establishment hated him, and that began to make me like him too. Because if the establishment politicians hate this guy, I must be missing something about him. And I still am super happy that he got elected, because if Hillary would have been in, we'd have been at war a long time ago. I mean, let's face it, we'd probably be at war with Russia. And that leads to this point, that ever since he's gotten in, there's been a concerted effort to pit the United States against Russia, to push Trump's buttons, to basically say, look, you're in bed with Putin. Therefore, if you cooperate with Russia, we're going to run around and tell everybody, see, there's the proof. And then these things spark up, and then they use that to say, are you with Putin? If you were with Putin, you'd be doing something about this in Syria, because you got to be on the opposite side of Putin. Do we? Well, I don't know why. If Putin, I don't know that Putin's is any worse than the United States is at this point. I hate even saying that. I do. I don't even, but politically, the left and the right, as far as the swamp is concerned, those who pretend to be for the individuals on the right, and those who are completely sold out ideologically to a large government on the left. Those who inhabit the swamp have aligned in an effort of bipartisanship taking a break from attempting to impeach Trump, unified in telling Trump to bomb Syria. If I was Trump, that would be a great clue for me that I shouldn't bomb Syria. When all these people, when the media who didn't want you elected and worked against you and is completely telling lies about you, when the swamp who ignores vast, huge murders and crimes on the one side and then creates a crime to go after you on the other, when they have aligned to tell you and give you advice about bombing somebody, I'm going to think, oh, wait, maybe I ought not listen to the swamp when they say to bomb Assad. I don't know quite how to end this video other than to say we all need to pray. Pray that we have some advisors, some people in the White House who will give good advice, and that cooler heads would prevail, and that Trump would not be manipulated. Maybe that's not what's going on. Maybe I have it wrong. But I've given the reasons why I'm thinking the way that I am on this. And I haven't seen anything to pull me back from where I am. And I'd be more than happy to go, hey, I've said this for a long time. I'd be more happy to be wrong about a lot of things. So, let's just pray let's just pray for peace. That's the only thing I can say.